Millionaire didn't know he was a father until he saw his ex-wife with two little girls at a cruise ship restaurant. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments, and get ready for an unforgettable story. The Mediterranean sun glinted off the polished deck of the Royal Horizon, one of the most luxurious cruise ships ever to sail these ancient waters. Nathan Reynolds adjusted his designer sunglasses, trying to focus on the financial report on his tablet. Even here, thousands of miles from Wall Street, he couldn't escape the pull of the markets. His investment firm had just closed a record-breaking quarter, yet the victory felt hollow. Another cocktail, Mr. Reynolds. A server appeared at his elbow, silver tray balanced perfectly. No, thank you. Nathan checked his watch. Platinum worth more than what most people on this ship earned in 6 months. Almost time for dinner. He closed his tablet with a sigh, tucking it into his leather portfolio case. At 42, Nathan had achieved everything he'd ever wanted professionally. Forbes had featured him last year as one of America's most successful self-made billionaires. His investment strategies were studied in business schools, yet as he stared out at the endless blue horizon, an emptiness gnawed at him. The same emptiness that had driven him to book this Mediterranean getaway. Nathan, darling, there you are. Amelia Crawford, his fiancée of 8 months, approached, in a flowing designer dress. With her perfect blonde hair and practiced smile, she looked like she belonged on this deck, among the wealthy and privileged. I've been looking everywhere for you. We're going to be late for the captain's dinner. Nathan stood, forcing a smile. Sorry, got caught up with some work. Amelia's perfectly sculpted eyebrows narrowed slightly. You promised no work on this trip, remember? That was the whole point. I know. He offered his arm, which she took with practiced grace. Last email, I promise. The grand dining room of the Royal Horizon was a masterpiece of nautical elegance. Crystal chandeliers, polished mahogany, and floor-to-ceiling windows offering spectacular views of the Mediterranean sunset. Nathan and Amelia were seated at a premium table near the captain's quarters, alongside other elite passengers. As the first course arrived, Nathan scanned the room reflexively, a habit from years of business dinners, always assessing who was present, who might be valuable to. No, his eyes swept past tables of wealthy retirees, honeymooning couples, families celebrating special occasions. His heart stopped. Across the dining room, at a small table near the windows, sat a woman with chestnut hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders. Her profile was turned slightly away, but Nathan would have recognized her anywhere. Sophia Lawrence, his ex-wife. 5 years had passed since she'd walked out of their Manhattan penthouse, leaving nothing but divorce papers and unanswered questions. 5 years since the only woman he'd ever truly loved had disappeared from his life. Nathan? Are you listening? Amelia's voice seemed to come from very far away. Then Sophia turned, laughing at something, and Nathan saw them. 2 little girls about 6 years old sitting on either side of her. Identical faces, identical chestnut curls, and as one of them smiled, a wide, uninhibited smile that reached all the way to her bright blue eyes, Nathan felt the floor tilt beneath him. Those eyes. He saw them in the mirror every morning. That smile. It was his mother's smile. The one he had inherited. Nathan, seriously, what are you staring at? Amelia followed his gaze across the room, but Nathan couldn't answer. His mind was doing frantic calculations. Sophia had left 5 years ago. These girls looked about 6. The timing. One of the twins looked up then, her eyes meeting his across the crowded dining room. For a moment, childish curiosity flickered in her expression. Then Sophia noticed her daughter's distraction. She turned, following the child's gaze. When Sophia's eyes locked with Nathan's, her face drained of color. She quickly gathered the girls, whispering something urgent to them. As she stood to hurry them from the dining room, there was no mistaking the panic in her movements. Nathan, who is that woman? Do you know her? Amelia's voice had taken on a sharp edge. The truth hit Nathan with the force of a physical blow. Those little girls. Those identical little girls with his eyes, his smile, his mother's distinct features. They were his daughters. Daughters he never knew existed. "Excuse me," he managed to say, standing abruptly. "I need some air." But as he left the table, ignoring Amelia's confused protests, Nathan knew that what he really needed were answers, and the only person who could provide them was already disappearing through the dining room doors, holding the hands of two little girls who had suddenly changed everything. Nathan gripped the railing of the ship's promenade deck, struggling to steady his breathing as the Mediterranean night air whipped around him. Those little girls with his eyes, his mother's smile, they couldn't be anyone else's. The timing aligned perfectly with Sophia's departure 5 years ago. His mind raced through fragmented memories. Their last months together had been a battlefield of silence and resentment. Nathan working 16-hour days, Sophia begging for his attention, for them to start the family they'd once planned. Then the final fight, her tearful accusation that he'd chosen his empire over their marriage. "I don't even know who you are anymore," she'd said that night standing in the doorway of his home office. "The man I married wouldn't disappear into spreadsheets while his life crumbled around him." He'd barely looked up from his computer. "The IPO is next week, Sophia. What do you want from me?" "I wanted you. Us." Her voice had broken. "But that's not an option anymore, is it?" 2 days later, she was gone. Divorce papers delivered by courier. His calls unanswered. She'd vanished so completely that even his high-priced investigators found minimal traces. He'd assumed she needed space, needed to hurt him as he'd hurt her. Never once had he imagined she was carrying his children. "There you are." Amelia's voice startled him back to the present. Her expression mixed concern with irritation. "What's going on, Nathan? You look like you've seen a ghost." "That woman," he began, his voice hoarse. "She's my ex-wife." Amelia's perfectly manicured hand tightened on her clutch. "The artist? The one you never talk about?" Nathan nodded, struggling with how much to reveal. He and Amelia had been together less than a year, their relationship more pragmatic than passionate. She was beautiful, intelligent, from the right social circle. They made sense on paper. "I need to speak with her," he said finally. "About what?" Amelia's eyes narrowed. "And those children with her, they looked about what, 6? 7? Nathan turned away, unable to meet her gaze. "I need answers, Amelia." "Oh my God." Understanding dawned on her face. "They're yours, aren't they? Those little girls are yours." Before Nathan could respond, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Meet me at the Starlight Lounge, 11 p.m. Come alone. We need to talk." Sophia. After all this time, just a few decks away, with daughters he never knew existed, daughters who had been living, growing, learning while he'd been building his empire, oblivious to their existence. "I have to go," he told Amelia, already moving toward the stairs. "Nathan," she called after him. "Don't you dare leave me like this." But Nathan was already gone, chasing answers to questions he'd never known to ask. The Starlight Lounge occupied the highest deck of the Royal Horizon, offering breathtaking views of the star-strewn Mediterranean sky. At 10:55 p.m. Nathan arrived, his heart pounding against his ribs. The space was nearly empty. Most passengers were at the evening's entertainment or had retired to their cabins. In a secluded corner sat Sophia, nursing a glass of white wine. 5 years had changed her little. Her chestnut hair still fell in those familiar waves, though she wore it shorter now. Her artist's hands still fidgeted when she was anxious, tracing invisible patterns on the tablecloth. "You came," she said as he approached. "Did you think I wouldn't?" Nathan took the seat across from her, declining the waiter's offer of a drink, with a quick shake of his head. "Where are they?" "The girls?" "With the ship's childcare service." Sophia took a deep breath. "I thought we should talk first." "Talk? After 5 years of silence? You want to talk?" His voice rose slightly, and he forced himself to control it. "I saw them, Sophia. I saw my daughters." She flinched at his directness. "Yes." "When were you going to tell me? Or were you ever going to tell me?" Sophia's eyes, green, unlike the bright blue their daughters had inherited from him, filled with tears. "I tried, Nathan. When I first found out I was pregnant, I called your office a dozen times. Your assistant said you were in meetings that couldn't be disturbed. I emailed. Nothing. By then, the divorce was already in motion. So you decided to punish me by keeping my children a secret? Anger sharpened his words. Punish you? I was protecting them. Sophia's voice cracked. You made your choice very clear, Nathan. Your work would always come first. I wouldn't subject my daughters to a father who saw them as an inconvenience. Her words hit like a slap. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time you worked less than 80 hours a week? When did you last take a real vacation before this one? She gestured around them. And even here, I bet your tablet is full of reports and emails. Nathan fell silent, the truth of her words sinking in. What are their names? He finally asked, his voice softer. Emma and Olivia. Emma is older by 8 minutes. A smile ghosted across Sophia's lips. Emma is our little scientist, always asking why, taking things apart to see how they work. Olivia is quieter, lives in her imagination. She makes up stories about everything. They're beautiful, Nathan whispered, trying to reconcile these details with the brief glimpse he'd had of his daughters. Yes, they are. Sophia's expression hardened again. Nathan, what do you want? Why are you here? I want to know them. They're my daughters. And what does that mean to you? A weekend visit twice a year when you can fit it into your schedule? Expensive gifts shipped to make up for your absence? That's not fair, he repeated, but with less conviction. Sophia leaned forward. Life isn't fair, Nathan. Those girls are my whole world. I won't let anyone hurt them, not even their father. As she stood to leave, Nathan caught her wrist gently. Please, Sophia, let me meet them properly. Let me try. For a long moment, she studied his face. Tomorrow. The family pool at 10. Don't be late. As he watched her walk away, Nathan realized that for the first time in years, something mattered, more to him than his business empire. Something irreplaceable and precious that no amount of money could buy, a chance to know his daughters. The family pool area buzzed with activity as Nathan arrived precisely at 10. Children splashed in the shallow end while parents lounged nearby, a typical vacation scene that now felt surreal to him. He spotted Sophia immediately, sitting at a small table under a striped umbrella, the twins beside her. His daughters wore matching swimsuits, one blue, one purple, the only visible difference between them. Nathan approached slowly, stomach, nodding with a strange mixture of terror and longing. You came, Sophia acknowledged, her tone neutral. Then turning to the girls. Emma, Olivia, this is Mr. Reynolds. He's an old friend of Mommy's. Two identical faces turned to study him with unnerving intensity. The one in blue, Emma, spoke first. You were watching us at dinner yesterday. That was rude. Nathan blinked, unprepared for such directness. You're right, I apologize. The girl tilted her head, considering his response. Okay, I'm Emma. That's Olivia. She doesn't talk to strangers much. Olivia, in purple, half hid behind her mother's arm, her blue eyes, his eyes wide and wary. It's nice to meet you both, Nathan said, struggling to keep his voice steady. Sophia cleared her throat. Mr. Reynolds is going to join us for a while. Today. Is that all right? Emma shrugged. Can we swim now? Yes, but stay in the shallow end where I can see you, Sophia instructed. As the girls headed for the pool, Sophia turned to Nathan. Emma's always been the spokesperson. Olivia will warm up eventually. They're incredible, Nathan whispered, watching them go. I can't believe. That they're yours? Sophia's voice held a sharp edge. DNA test results are in my cabin if you'd like proof. That's not what I meant. Nathan tore his gaze from the twins. I meant I can't believe I missed 6 years of their lives. Something in Sophia's expression softened marginally. What exactly do you want from this, Nathan? I want to know them. I want to be their father. The words came automatically, surprising, even him with their certainty. And what about your fiancé, the blonde from dinner? Nathan winced. Amelia's. Complicated. We haven't discussed this yet. Haven't discussed it? Sophia's eyebrows shot up. You're planning to marry someone who doesn't know you have children? Before Nathan could respond, a child's scream pierced the air. They both turned to see Emma standing at the pool's edge, pointing frantically. Olivia had wandered into the deeper section and was struggling to stay afloat. Nathan moved without thinking, diving into the pool and reaching Olivia in seconds. He lifted her easily, carrying her back to the shallow end as she coughed and clung to his neck. You're okay, he murmured, heart pounding as he carried her to Sophia, who had rushed to the pool's edge. You're safe now. As he handed Olivia to her mother, the little girl's eyes, so like his own, locked with his. Thank you, she whispered, her first words to him. Nathan nodded, suddenly unable to speak past the lump in his throat. In that moment, one truth crystallized with perfect clarity. Nothing in his carefully constructed life mattered compared to these two little girls. The following morning, Nathan paced his suite, phone pressed to his ear. Cancel everything for the next 2 weeks, he instructed his assistant in New York. The Miller acquisition can wait. Sir, the board is expecting you back. Tell them it's a family emergency. The phrase felt strange on his tongue. Family. For years that word had meant nothing but distant memories. Now it represented two little girls with his eyes and smile. A knock interrupted his thoughts. Opening the door, he found Amelia, her expression tight with controlled anger. You didn't come back last night, she said, brushing past him into the suite. I needed time to think. About your secret children? Amelia's voice was brittle. Were you ever going to tell me, Nathan? Or would I have discovered them at our wedding? I didn't know they existed until yesterday. Nathan ran a hand through his hair. Sophia never told me she was pregnant when she left. And you believe that? Amelia scoffed. She probably planned this entire encounter. Wealthy ex-husband on a luxury cruise. Perfect opportunity for a payday. Don't. Nathan's voice hardened. Sophia isn't after money. She never was. Amelia studied him, understanding dawning in her eyes. You still have feelings for her. Before Nathan could respond, his phone chimed with a message. Sophia had agreed to let him take Emma and Olivia to the ship's children's museum that afternoon, alone. I have to go, he said, reaching for his jacket. To see them. It wasn't a question. They're my daughters, Amelia. And what am I? She demanded. Your fiancé? For just convenient arm candy until something better came along. Nathan looked at her, really looked, for perhaps the first time in months. Their relationship had been comfortable, convenient for two people sharing similar social circles and ambitions, but had it ever been love? I'm sorry, he said finally. You deserve better than this. Amelia's laugh was hollow. I deserve better than discovering my fiancé has secret twins? Yes, I'd say so. She slipped her engagement ring off and placed it on the table. I'll be changing cabins. Don't try to contact me. After she left, Nathan stared at the abandoned ring. He should feel devastated. Instead, all he felt was relief and terror at the responsibility awaiting him. At the Children's Museum, Emma immediately raced toward an interactive display about ocean currents, while Olivia lingered uncertainly near the entrance. What would you like to see first? Nathan asked her gently. Olivia pointed shyly toward a storytelling area. Good choice, he smiled, following her lead. For the next hour, Nathan navigated the unfamiliar territory of fatherhood. Emma peppered him with questions about ship engines and why the ocean was blue. Olivia gradually warmed up, showing him her favorite constellations in the planetarium exhibit. Do you know any stories about stars? She asked quietly, as they gazed at a projection of the night sky. Not many, Nathan admitted, but I'd like to learn them with you. When he returned the girls to Sophia's cabin, Emma announced, He doesn't know much about ships or stars, but he bought us ice cream. Did he now? Sophia raised an eyebrow. I might have overcompensated with dessert, Nathan confessed. After the girls disappeared inside, Sophia lingered in the doorway. Thank you for bringing them back on time. Sophia, Nathan began. I know. I don't deserve another chance with them, but I'm asking for one anyway. And what happens after this cruise ends? Back to 70-hour work weeks and international meetings? No, he said with unexpected certainty. Everything's going to change. For the first time since they'd reunited, something like hope flickered in Sophia's eyes. Nathan, be reasonable. Marcus Porter's voice crackled through the phone from New York. The board is in panic mode. Rumors are flying. You need to make a statement. Nathan gazed out at the endless Mediterranean from his balcony. 3 days had passed since discovering his daughters, each moment spent trying to earn their trust. Yesterday, he'd built sandcastles with them during the ship's beach excursion in Sicily. Olivia had actually smiled at him. The company will survive 2 weeks without me, Marcus. It's not just the company. The stock dropped 8 points when word got out you're extending your personal leave. Investors are nervous. Nathan sighed. For 15 years, market fluctuations had dictated his every decision. Now they seemed trivial compared to Emma's. Laugh when he'd helped her collect seashells. Handle it, that's why I pay you 7 figures. There's something else. Marcus hesitated. The press caught wind of your situation. Apparently, someone on the ship recognized you with Sophia and the twins. The headline, Wall Street Titan's Secret Family, is trending. Nathan's grip tightened. On the phone. Find out who leaked it, and issue a statement requesting privacy. After ending the call, Nathan headed to the ship's cafe where he'd agreed to meet Sophia. They'd established a careful routine, mornings with the girls, afternoons, for them to rest, evenings sometimes together for dinner or the ship's family activities. He found Sophia sketching, her hand moving confidently across the page. He'd forgotten how beautiful she looked when creating art. The press knows, he said without preamble. Sliding into the chair opposite her, Sophia's pencil stilled. How? Someone on the ship. Probably took photos. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Sophia closed her sketchbook. The girls don't need their lives turned into tabloid fodder. I'll handle it, Nathan promised, though he wasn't sure how. His business maneuverings had always made headlines, but this was different. This was his children. Like you handled everything before? The old hurt crept into her voice. I'm trying, Sophia. I'm really trying. Something in his tone must have reached her because her expression softened. I know. The girls can't stop talking about the sandcastles yesterday, especially Olivia. She doesn't warm up to people easily. Pride bloomed in Nathan's chest. She's extraordinary, they both are. They want to show you something tonight, at the ship's stargazing event on the top deck. Before Nathan could respond, a woman approached their table. Mr. Reynolds, I thought it was you. He recognized her immediately. Janet Williams, wife of a major investor. My husband will be thrilled to hear you're on board. We must have dinner. And is this? Her eyes slid curiously to Sophia. An old friend, Nathan said firmly. Please excuse us, Janet, we were just discussing private matters. After she left, Sophia's expression was troubled. Your world is catching up with us. I'm not hiding you or the girls, Nathan said quietly. I'm not ashamed. It's not about shame, Nathan, it's about protection. Emma and Olivia deserve a normal childhood. Later that evening, as stars emerged above the Mediterranean, Nathan met the twins on the top deck. Emma immediately grabbed his hand, pulling him toward a telescope. Mom says you can see Jupiter tonight. It has 79 moons. Olivia approached more cautiously, holding a handmade star chart. I made this for you, she whispered, offering the paper. So you can learn the constellations. Nathan knelt to her level, accepting the gift with reverence. This is incredible, Olivia. Thank you. As they guided him through their celestial knowledge, pointing out stars and planets, Nathan realized what true wealth looked like. It wasn't in his investment portfolio or Manhattan penthouse. It was here, under the vast Mediterranean sky, with 2 little girls teaching him about the universe. The ship's Mediterranean itinerary brought them to Greece, where ancient ruins stood as monuments to civilizations long gone. As Nathan waited for Emma and Olivia in the cruise terminal, He couldn't help but reflect on how quickly his own carefully constructed life had transformed. His phone buzzed constantly. Crisis meetings he was missing, deals hanging in limbo, board members demanding explanations. For the first time in his career, Nathan let it all wait. The financial world he'd dominated for decades seemed increasingly distant compared to the two small hands he hoped would reach for his today. "Nathan." Emma's voice cut through the crowd as she raced toward him, her energy boundless as always. Olivia followed more cautiously, but with a small smile that hadn't been there days before. Behind them came Sophia, looking troubled. "We need to talk," she murmured as the girls examined a nearby souvenir stand. "Have you seen this?" She handed him her tablet, opened to a financial news site. The headline made his stomach drop. "Reynolds' empire falters as CEO abandons ship for secret family." The article detailed speculation about his extended absence, complete with grainy photos of him with the twins on the ship's deck. "I'm handling it," he said automatically. "Are you?" Sophia challenged. "Because it seems like you're ignoring it while your company implodes." "Since when do you care about my company?" The words came out sharper than intended. "I don't," she admitted. "But the girls don't need to be caught in a media firestorm while you lose everything you've built." Nathan was saved from responding by Emma tugging at his sleeve. "Can we see the Parthenon? Mom says you hired a private guide." "I did," Nathan confirmed, grateful for the interruption. "And after, I thought we might try that restaurant with the view of the Acropolis." As they explored Athens, Nathan found himself experiencing the ancient city through his daughter's eyes. Emma cataloged historical facts with precise detail, while Olivia wove imaginative stories about the people who might have walked these stone paths thousands of years ago. During lunch, as the girls were distracted by dessert, Sophia leaned closer. "You've changed," she observed. The old Nathan would have been on the first flight back to New York at the first sign of trouble. The old Nathan didn't know what he was missing, he replied quietly. Their tour continued through the afternoon, but as they returned to the ship, Nathan noticed a small crowd of photographers at the gangway. Someone had tipped off the paparazzi. "Mr. Reynolds? Is it true these are your secret daughters?" "Sophia, why did you hide the children from their father? Are you reconciling with your ex-wife?" Nathan instinctively moved to shield the twins while Sophia pulled them close. Emma looked confused, Olivia frightened. "Not another step closer," Nathan warned the photographers, his voice cutting with the authority that had intimidated boardrooms for years. "These are children, not headlines." Once safely aboard, Olivia burst into tears while Emma peppered them with questions. Why were those people taking pictures? Why did they ask if Dad was our father? The word Dad hung in the air, between them all. It was the first time either girl had used it. "We should talk," Sophia said gently to the twins. "There are some things about Mr. Reynolds that you should know." Nathan's heart raced as he realized the moment of truth had arrived sooner than expected. In the ship's corridor, surrounded by the aftermath of unwanted publicity, his daughters were about to learn who he really was. The ship's Mediterranean itinerary brought them to Greece, where ancient ruins stood as monuments to civilizations long gone. As Nathan waited for Emma and Olivia in the cruise terminal, he couldn't help but reflect on how quickly his own carefully constructed life had transformed. His phone buzzed constantly, crisis meetings he was missing, deals hanging in limbo, board members demanding explanations. For the first time in his career, Nathan let it all wait. The financial world he'd dominated for decades seemed increasingly distant compared to the two small hands he hoped would reach for his today. "Nathan." Emma's voice cut through the crowd as she raced toward him, her energy boundless as always. Olivia followed more cautiously, but with a small smile that hadn't been there days before. Behind them came Sophia, looking troubled. "We need to talk," she murmured as the girls examined a nearby souvenir stand. "Have you seen this?" She handed him her tablet, opened to a financial news site. The headline made his stomach drop. "Reynolds' empire falters as CEO abandons ship for secret family." The article detailed speculation about his extended absence, complete with grainy photos of him with the twins on the ship's deck. "I'm handling it," he said automatically. "Are you?" Sophia challenged. "Because it seems like you're ignoring it while your company implodes." "Since when do you care about my company?" The words came out sharper than intended. "I don't," she admitted. "But the girls don't need to be caught in a media firestorm while you lose everything you've built." Nathan was saved from responding by Emma tugging at his sleeve. "Can we see the Parthenon? Mom says you hired a private guide." "I did," Nathan confirmed, grateful for the interruption. "And after, I thought we might try that restaurant with the view of the Acropolis." As they explored Athens, Nathan found himself experiencing the ancient city through his daughter's eyes. Emma cataloged historical facts with precise detail, while Olivia wove imaginative stories about the people who might have walked these stone paths thousands of years ago. During lunch, as the girls were distracted by dessert, Sophia leaned closer. "You've changed," she observed. The old Nathan would have been on the first flight back to New York at the first sign of trouble. The old Nathan didn't know what he was missing, he replied quietly. Their tour continued through the afternoon, but as they returned to the ship, Nathan noticed a small crowd of photographers at the gangway. Someone had tipped off the paparazzi. "Mr. Reynolds? Is it true these are your secret daughters?" "Sophia, why did you hide the children from their father? Are you reconciling with your ex-wife?" Nathan instinctively moved to shield the twins while Sophia pulled them close. Emma looked confused, Olivia frightened. "Not another step closer," Nathan warned the photographers, his voice cutting with the authority that had intimidated boardrooms for years. "These are children, not headlines." Once safely aboard, Olivia burst into tears while Emma peppered them with questions. Why were those people taking pictures? Why did they ask if Dad was our father? The word Dad hung in the air, between them all. It was the first time either girl had used it. "We should talk," Sophia said gently to the twins. "There are some things about Mr. Reynolds that you should know." Nathan's heart raced as he realized the moment of truth had arrived sooner than expected. In the ship's corridor, surrounded by the aftermath of unwanted publicity, his daughters were about to learn who he really was. Inside Sophia's cabin, Emma and Olivia sat side by side on the small sofa. Their identical faces a study in contrasts, Emma curious and impatient, Olivia withdrawn and anxious. Nathan stood awkwardly by the door while Sophia sat across from the girls, gathering her thoughts. "Remember how we've talked about your father before?" Sophia began gently. "How I told you he was someone I loved very much, but he lived far away?" Emma nodded vigorously. "You said he was smart and worked with numbers and didn't know about us." "That's right." Sophia took a deep breath. "Well, Nathan is your father." The room fell silent. Nathan felt his heart hammering against his ribs as his daughters processed this revelation. Emma's eyes widened with understanding, darting between Nathan and her mother. Olivia stared at the floor, motionless. "That's why we have the same eyes," Emma said finally, her analytical mind making the connection. "And the same smile. Mom always said we had our dad's smile." Nathan watched Olivia, who hadn't moved or spoken. "Olivia?" he ventured softly. "Are you okay?" Her small voice, when it came, cracked with emotion. "If you're our dad, why weren't you there for birthdays and when I was sick and when Emma broke her arm?" The simple question pierced Nathan like a physical blow. No business crisis had ever made him feel so utterly helpless. "I didn't know," he managed, kneeling to meet her eye level. "If I had known about you and Emma, I would have been there. For everything." "He really didn't know," Sophia confirmed, reaching to stroke Olivia's hair. "That was my decision, not his." "But why?" Emma demanded, her directness so reminiscent of Nathan's own approach to problems. Sophia glanced at Nathan, uncertainty in her eyes. How much should they share with 6-year-olds? "Your mother and I weren't getting along very well," Nathan began carefully. "I was working too much, not paying attention to what mattered. By the time your mother found out about you two, we had already decided to live apart, and I thought it would be easier this way," Sophia added. "I made a mistake by not telling your father about you. I'm sorry for that. Emma processed this with a thoughtful frown. So you're not a friend of Mom's. You're our real dad. Yes, Nathan confirmed, his voice rough with emotion. Emma's next question came like a thunderbolt. Are you going to live with us now? Nathan looked helplessly at Sophia, unprepared for the conversation to advance so quickly. No, sweetie, Sophia intervened. Nathan lives in New York and we live in California, but he wants to be part of your lives now. How? Olivia asked, finally looking up. You'll just go away again when the boat trip is done. Her fear of abandonment was palpable, and Nathan felt something break inside him. He moved closer, careful not to crowd her. I won't disappear, he promised. I don't know exactly how everything will work yet, but I will be your dad from now on, if you'll let me. Emma, ever practical, immediately began firing questions about logistics. Would he visit them? Would they visit him? Did he have a pool at his house? But Olivia remained silent, watching him with those blue eyes so like his own, measuring the weight of his promise. As the conversation continued, Nathan realized that his entire future hung on his ability to keep that promise to a little girl who had spent 6 years not knowing he existed. The morning after the revelation, Nathan found himself alone on his balcony as dawn broke over the Mediterranean. His phone displayed dozens of missed calls from New York, but above them was a text from Sophia. Pool deck, 9 a.m. The girls want to see you. Those simple words sparked both hope and terror. How did his daughters feel about him now, after a night, to process the truth? When he arrived at the pool, he spotted them immediately. Emma splashing enthusiastically while Olivia sat at the edge, dangling her feet in the water. Sophia reclined nearby, watching them with the vigilance of a mother who had raised them alone for 6 years. Good morning, Nathan greeted, uncertain of his reception. Emma waved energetically. Dad, watch this. She disappeared underwater, attempting a somersault that ended in a spluttering half-roll. I almost got it that time. The casual use of dad stole Nathan's breath. For Emma, apparently, acceptance came easily once facts were established. She treated his newfound fatherhood as simply another piece of information to be cataloged and incorporated. Olivia, however, remained quiet, studying him with cautious eyes. May I? Nathan asked, gesturing to the space beside her at the pool's edge. She nodded slightly, making room but maintaining careful distance. I thought maybe we could talk, he said gently, rolling his pants up to put his feet in the water. I know yesterday was a lot to take in. Olivia watched the ripples their feet made in the pool. Mom has a picture of you, she said finally, in her special box. Sometimes she looks at it when she thinks we're sleeping. Nathan glanced toward Sophia, who was pretending not to listen. Does she? Olivia nodded. She gets sad after. The simple observation carried weight beyond the child's understanding. Nathan struggled for an appropriate response. I was sad for a long time too, he admitted. I missed your mother very much. But you didn't miss us, Olivia pointed out with a child's devastating logic. I didn't know about you, Nathan reminded her gently. But if I had, I would have missed you every single day. Emma thinks we should forgive you, Olivia continued, her small voice serious. She says it's not your fault. And what do you think? Olivia considered this, her face a miniature reflection of Nathan's own expression when weighing difficult decisions. I think, she began hesitantly. I think I want to know if you can do magic napkin tricks like you did at dinner yesterday. The non sequitur caught Nathan off guard. Then understanding dawned. She was offering him a chance in her own way to build a relationship on neutral ground. I know lots of napkin tricks, he promised, relief washing through him. And I'm learning some coin tricks, too. A tiny smile tugged at Olivia's lips. Emma's better at tricks. She can make a spoon stick to her nose. That's a very important skill, Nathan agreed seriously. Maybe she can teach me. As if summoned by the mention of her name, Emma splashed up to them. Dad, come swimming. I didn't bring my suit, Nathan began, but Emma's expectant face made him reconsider. What was a ruined outfit compared to this moment? But I suppose I could roll up my pants more. Sophia approached as he was debating. I had the ship's store deliver these, she said, handing him a shopping bag containing swim trunks. I thought you might need them. Their eyes met over the children's heads, and Nathan saw something he hadn't expected. Hope, cautious but real, that this impossible situation might somehow work out. Thank you, he said, the words encompassing far more than the practical gesture. The cruise ship sailed toward its next destination, the island of Santorini, as Nathan found himself navigating equally unfamiliar waters of fatherhood. In the 3 days since the girls had learned the truth, Emma had embraced her new father with characteristic enthusiasm, while Olivia's acceptance came in smaller, more measured gestures, a shared book, a hesitant question, a brief handhold, when crossing the ship's deck. This morning, Nathan had received an urgent video call from Marcus and the board. The company stock had fallen 15%. Major clients were threatening to pull their investments. The business empire Nathan had spent 2 decades building was showing cracks in its foundation. You need to come back, Marcus had insisted. At least make a statement to the press. Show them you haven't completely lost your mind. I'll handle it, Nathan had promised, but not by abandoning my daughters again. Now, as the ship approached the iconic whitewashed buildings of Santorini, Nathan stood on deck with Emma and Olivia, pointing out the volcanic caldera that formed the island's distinctive crescent shape. It's like a giant took a bite out of it, Emma observed, her imagination temporarily overtaking her scientific mind. The volcano erupted thousands of years ago, Nathan explained. Some people think it might have been the origin of the Atlantis myth. Atlantis was real? Olivia asked, her eyes widening. Probably not. Nathan smiled. But sometimes stories help us understand history better. Olivia considered this. Mom says that's why she paints, to tell stories without words. Your mother is very wise, Nathan replied, glancing to where Sophia stood nearby, pretending not to eavesdrop on their conversation. As the ship docked and passengers prepared to disembark, Nathan's phone buzzed. With a message, he checked it with a frown. Is something wrong? Sophia asked, noticing his expression. Nothing I can't handle, he assured her, though in truth the situation was worsening. His largest investor was threatening to pull out completely, a potentially fatal blow to the company's stability. Your business is important, Sophia said, surprising him with her perception. You don't have to pretend it isn't. Not as important as this, Nathan insisted, gesturing to the girls who were excitedly pointing at the cable cars climbing the cliffside. Sophia studied him with those artist's eyes that had always seen through his defenses. They won't disappear if you take an hour to deal with what needs handling. Her unexpected support touched something in Nathan. This was a different Sophia than the one who had left him, or perhaps he was finally seeing her clearly for the first time. Dad, Emma called. Can we ride the donkeys instead of the cable car, please? The dad still gave him a jolt of surprise and joy. Is that okay with your mother? Sophia nodded. Just hold on tight to Olivia. She's never been great with animals. As they made their way toward the donkey station, Nathan felt Olivia's small hand slip into his. The gesture, so simple yet profound, meant more to him than any business deal he'd ever closed. I'll keep you safe, he promised, squeezing her hand gently. Olivia looked up at him, her blue eyes, his eyes, serious beneath her sun hat. I know, she said simply. In that moment, as the Mediterranean sun shone down on the breathtaking beauty of Santorini, Nathan Reynolds made a decision that would alter the course of his life forever. His old world could wait. Some things were simply too precious to risk losing twice. The summit of Santorini offered breathtaking views, blue-domed churches against whitewashed buildings, the caldera's deep azure waters far below. Nathan watched as Emma fearlessly approached, the edge of a viewpoint while Olivia hung back, cautiously observing. They're so different, Nathan remarked to Sophia as they stood together, supervising from a short distance. Always have been, Sophia replied. Even in the womb, Emma kept kicking while Olivia barely moved. The sonographer called them the boxer and the dreamer. Nathan felt the familiar pang of missing these moments. I wish I had known. I know, Sophia said softly. For what it's worth, I did try to call you when I found out I was pregnant. My assistant at the time, Marissa, Sophia supplied. She said you were in meetings that couldn't be interrupted. After the third try, I stopped calling. Nathan winced, remembering how he'd instructed his staff to shield him from distractions during that crucial IPO period. I fired her years ago, but that doesn't excuse it. I made myself unreachable. Their conversation was interrupted by Nathan's phone vibrating persistently. The screen displayed his CFO's name with an urgent message. Board emergency meeting in progress. Decision being made about your replacement if you don't call in immediately. You should take that, Sophia said, noticing his expression. Wait. Nathan hesitated, torn between worlds. The board is meeting about replacing me. Sophia's eyebrows rose. Is that what you want? Of course not, but... Dad, Emma called, interrupting his response. Come look at this, we can see the volcano from here. Go, Sophia urged. The board can wait 10 more minutes while you look at a volcano with your daughter. Nathan pocketed. His phone and joined Emma at the viewpoint, lifting her slightly to see better. Her small body trusted him completely, her excitement contagious as she pointed out geological features she'd learned about. Olivia approached cautiously, curious, but hesitant about the height. Would you like to see too? Nathan asked. I promise I won't let you fall. After a moment's consideration, Olivia nodded. Nathan carefully lifted her with his other arm, holding both his daughters as they gazed out at the Aegean Sea. This is the best day ever, Emma declared. Nathan felt something shift inside him, perspective realigning, priorities reordering themselves with crystal clarity. These moments, not boardroom battles, were what mattered. When he finally stepped away to make his call, his decision was already made. Marcus, he said when his CFO answered, I'm stepping back. Effective immediately. You can't be serious, Marcus sputtered. Nathan, this is everything you've built. Not everything, Nathan replied, watching his daughters examining a stray cat nearby. Not anymore. Put Jonathan Morris in as interim CEO. He's been ready for years. The stock will tank when this gets out. Then it tanks, Nathan said simply. I'll retain majority ownership but relinquish operational control. After ending the call, Nathan rejoined his family, feeling lighter than he had in years. Everything okay? Sophia asked. Better than okay, he replied. I just prioritized what actually matters. Sophia studied his face, understanding dawning in her eyes. You're giving up your position. Stepping back, he corrected. Not completely out, but enough to be present where it counts. Something shifted in Sophia's expression, a softening, a reassessment. For the first time since their reunion, she looked at him not with caution or judgment, but with genuine respect. As they continued exploring Santorini's narrow streets, Nathan felt Olivia's small hand slip into his once more. When he looked down, she offered him a shy smile that was worth more than every dollar he'd ever earned. The ship sailed away from Santorini toward Malta, its final destination before returning to Rome. In the ship's elegant dining room, Nathan sat across from Sophia, as Emma and Olivia excitedly recounted their day's adventures to an elderly couple at the next table who had befriended them. They're naturals at making friends, Nathan observed, watching Emma demonstrate how she'd spotted an octopus during their snorkeling excursion. They've always been that way, Sophia replied, open-hearted despite everything. A comfortable silence fell between them, remarkable considering their contentious history. The past week had transformed their relationship from adversaries to cautious co-parents. I got your message about the transfer, Sophia said finally, keeping her voice low so the girls wouldn't hear. Nathan, it's too much. He had instructed his lawyer to establish trust funds for the twins and to transfer a significant sum to Sophia. Compensation, in his mind, for the years she'd raised their daughters alone. It's not charity, he said, anticipating her objection. It's my share of their upbringing. 6 years' worth of support I should have been providing. Sophia looked as though she wanted to argue, but instead asked, What happens when we dock in Rome? We all fly home and then what? You visit on holidays? The question had haunted Nathan for days. In a little over 48 hours, the cruise would end. Emma and Olivia would return with Sophia to their life in California, while his empire in New York demanded attention, despite his reduced role. I've been thinking about that, he admitted. What if I came to California? Not permanently at first, but to be closer, to be present. Sophia's eyes widened slightly. You'd leave New York? I'd split my time initially. The company still needs oversight during the transition. He leaned forward. Sophia, I've missed 6 years. I don't want to miss any more. Before she could respond, Olivia appeared at Nathan's elbow, tugging his sleeve gently. Dad, she whispered, the word still new on her lips. Can you read to me tonight, like you did yesterday? Nothing. Not closing billion-dollar deals, not ringing the opening bell at the stock exchange, had ever compared to hearing Olivia call him Dad unprompted, of course, he promised. Right after dinner. As Olivia returned to her conversation with the elderly couple, Sophia studied Nathan with new eyes. You're serious about this? Completely. He met her gaze directly. I know I can't make up for lost time, but I can be there from now on. Later, in Sophia's cabin, Nathan sat on Olivia's bed, reading from The Little Prince, her favorite book he'd learned. Emma had already fallen asleep, her arm flung dramatically across her pillow. Olivia fought to keep her eyes open, determined to hear the end of the chapter. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. Nathan read softly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Olivia's eyes finally closed, her breathing becoming deep and regular. Nathan carefully marked the page and set the book aside, allowing himself a moment to simply watch his daughter's sleep, a privilege he'd never known he'd been missing. As he tiptoed toward the door, he found Sophia watching from the small sitting area, her sketchbook open on her lap. You're a natural, she whispered. Hardly, he smiled ruefully. But I'm trying. Sophia turned her sketchbook toward him. On the page was a sketch of Nathan reading to Olivia, his expression tender, her small face trusting. The image captured something essential about their newfound bond. May I keep this? He asked quietly. Sophia nodded, carefully tearing out the page. As she handed it to him, their fingers brushed, the briefest contact, yet charged with shared history and cautious possibility. Good night, Nathan, she said softly. Good night, he replied, knowing that whatever happened when the cruise ended, nothing would ever be the same again. The morning before the ship was due to dock in Malta, Nathan found himself on the top deck, watching the sunrise with Emma. His energetic daughter had developed a habit of waking before everyone else, and Nathan had offered to accompany her on her early explorations, giving Sophia a chance to rest. Dad, look! Emma pointed excitedly at a pod of dolphins leaping alongside the ship. There must be at least 12 of them. Nathan marveled at how easily she called him Dad now, as if making up for lost time with each use of the word. Emma had accepted him with the same straightforward approach she brought to everything in life. Do you think Olivia will be sad she missed them? Nathan asked, knowing his quieter daughter would love this sight. Nah, Emma replied confidently. I'll describe everything perfectly. I'm good at details. Nathan smiled. Yes, you certainly are. Emma turned to him suddenly, her expression serious despite her small face. Are you really coming to California when the trip is over? The directness of the question caught him off guard. I am. I've already started looking for a place near you and your mother. Permanently, or just visiting? Nathan recognized Sophia's practicality in her questioning. I'll need to go back to New York sometimes for work, but California will be my home, now. Where you and your sister are. Emma nodded, processing this information. Mom cries sometimes, you know, when she thinks we're asleep. The simple statement hit Nathan with unexpected force. The image of Sophia, strong and independent, weeping alone after the girls were in bed, pierced something deep inside him. Does she? He managed to ask. Less since you found us, Emma continued matter-of-factly. She seems happier now, even though she tries to hide it. Before Nathan could formulate a response to this revelation, his phone buzzed. The notification made his stomach tighten. His resignation as CEO had hit the financial news. The headline was predictably dramatic. Reynolds abandons empire for family. Wall Street in shock. Emma, curious as always, peeked at his screen. Is that about us? Nathan hesitated, then decided on honesty. Sort of. It's about my decision to step back from running my company so I can spend more time with you and Olivia. Emma's brow furrowed in concentration. Is that bad? Some people think so, Nathan admitted. They think work should come first. That's silly, Emma declared with the absolute certainty only a child could possess. People are more important than work. Nathan felt something shift inside him, final confirmation that he'd made the right choice. You know what, Emma? You're absolutely right. Later that afternoon, as the ship docked in Malta's Grand Harbor, Nathan joined Sophia and the twins for their final excursion. Valletta's ancient fortifications rose impressively around them as they disembarked. It looks like a castle, Olivia exclaimed, her eyes wide as she took in the honey-colored limestone walls. Nathan felt her small hand slip into his, a gesture that had become increasingly natural over the past days. On his other side, Emma was already rattling off facts about Malta's knights that she'd learned from the ship's library. Sophia walked beside them, her expression thoughtful as she watched the interaction. When Nathan caught her eye, she smiled. Not the guarded smile of recent days, but something warmer, more reminiscent of the woman he'd once loved. I saw the news, she said quietly as the girls ran ahead slightly to examine a street vendor's wares. Are you having regrets? Nathan watched his daughters, Emma boldly negotiating with the vendor while Olivia hung back, observing everything with her quiet intensity. Not a single one, he answered truthfully. Some things can't be measured. In stock prices. For the first time since their reunion, Sophia reached out and briefly squeezed his hand. A simple gesture that somehow contained forgiveness, understanding, and perhaps the faintest promise of a new beginning. The final day at sea found Nathan, sitting alone on his balcony, watching Malta's shoreline recede as the ship began its journey back to Rome. Tomorrow, the cruise would end, and reality would begin. A new reality entirely different from the one he'd known before. His phone buzzed with messages he'd been ignoring. Jonathan Morris with updates on the company transition, his real estate agent confirming properties to view in San Francisco, his lawyer finalizing the trust arrangements for the twins. The world kept spinning, adjusting to his new priorities with reluctant acceptance. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. He opened it to find Sophia standing there, looking uncharacteristically nervous. The girls are at the kids' farewell party, she explained. I thought maybe we should talk about what happens next. Nathan invited her in, offering her a seat on the balcony. For a moment, they sat in silence, watching the sea. I signed the custody agreement your lawyer sent over, Sophia said finally. Joint legal custody, flexible visitation. It's more than fair. I don't want to disrupt their lives, Nathan assured her. I just want to be part of them. Sophia nodded, her fingers tracing patterns on the armrest, a habit he remembered from their marriage, something she did when organizing her thoughts. I've been thinking about your offer to move to California, she began carefully. It's a big change, Nathan. Are you sure it's what you want? New York has been your home for so long. Home isn't a place, Nathan replied, the realization solid and true within him. It's people. Emma and Olivia are my home now. Something shifted in Sophia's expression, a softening he'd glimpsed occasionally throughout the cruise, becoming more frequent in recent days. And what about us? She asked quietly. Where do we stand in all this? The question hung between them, weighted with history, regret, and unexpected possibility. I think, Nathan said carefully, we start as co-parents, as friends maybe. The rest we figure out day by day. Sophia nodded, a small smile touching her lips. Friends, she repeated. I think I'd like that. Their conversation was interrupted by another knock, this one more enthusiastic, accompanied by the unmistakable sound of small hands. Nathan opened the door to find Emma and Olivia, faces flushed with excitement. Dad, we made something for you at the party, Emma announced, thrusting a colorfully wrapped package into his hands. Open it, Olivia urged, her usual reserve overcome by anticipation. Inside was a handmade photo frame, decorated with seashells and glitter. The twins had somehow acquired a photograph, taken by a crew member, Nathan guessed, of the four of them on the deck at sunset laughing together. It's for your new house, Emma explained, so you don't forget us when you're in New York. As if I could ever forget you, Nathan said, his voice thick with emotion as he knelt to their level. This is the most beautiful gift I've ever received. Olivia stepped forward then, wrapping her arms around his neck in an unexpected hug. Promise you'll really come to California, she whispered, her greatest fear still that he might disappear from her life. I promise, Nathan said, holding her close. Wild horses couldn't keep me away. As Emma joined the embrace, Nathan looked up to find Sophia watching them, tears glistening in her eyes despite her smile. She nodded once, acknowledgement, approval, perhaps even forgiveness for all that had come before. Tomorrow they would disembark in Rome, fly to San Francisco, and begin the complex dance of building a new kind of family from the pieces of their broken past. But tonight, on this ship where miracles had happened, Nathan Reynolds held his daughters close and knew with absolute certainty that he was exactly where he belonged. 6 months after the Mediterranean cruise that changed everything, Nathan Reynolds stood in the kitchen of his San Francisco home, attempting to make pancakes shaped like dolphins. Emma had requested them specifically, inspired by their morning watching dolphins from the ship's deck, a memory she recounted frequently. That doesn't look like a dolphin, Emma critiqued, standing on her stepstool beside him. It looks more like a blob with a tail. Artistic pancakes are harder than running a billion-dollar company, Nathan admitted, making Emma giggle. In the adjoining dining room, Olivia sat quietly arranging place settings with meticulous care. She had inherited Nathan's attention to detail, ensuring each fork lined up perfectly beside each plate. Mom will be here in 20 minutes, she announced, checking the Mickey Mouse watch Nathan had bought her during their weekend trip to Disneyland last month. The past 6 months had unfolded in ways Nathan couldn't have predicted. After the cruise, he'd purchased a house in the same San Francisco neighborhood where Sophia and the girls lived. 3 days a week, the twins stayed with him, the other 4 with their mother. The arrangement had required adjustments from everyone, but they were finding their rhythm. His corporate life had transformed as well. Jonathan Morris was thriving as CEO, while Nathan maintained his position as chairman of the board, participating in major decisions remotely and flying to New York once a month for in-person meetings. The business press had eventually moved on from the scandal of his abandonment, especially when quarterly results remained strong under Morris's leadership. Dad, you're burning the pancakes, Emma warned, bringing Nathan back to the present. He quickly flipped the misshapen dolphins now sporting charred underbellies. I believe the technical term is caramelized, he offered with mock seriousness. Emma rolled her eyes in a gesture so reminiscent of Sophia that Nathan couldn't help smiling. The doorbell rang, and Olivia raced to answer it, knowing it would be her mother. Sophia entered carrying a bakery box. I brought backup, she admitted, revealing perfectly formed cupcakes decorated with sea creatures. I figured pancake art might still be a work in progress. Their eyes met over the children's excited exclamations, and Nathan felt the now familiar warmth that had been growing between them. Their relationship had evolved gradually from cautious co-parents to genuine friends. They'd begun having dinner, together once a week, after the girls were in bed, reconnecting as adults with a shared history and shared children. Perfect timing, Nathan admitted. My dolphins were suffering an identity crisis. As they settled around the table for their Sunday brunch, a tradition they'd established since returning from the cruise, Nathan found himself marveling at how natural it felt. 6 months ago, he'd been a workaholic bachelor engaged to a woman he didn't love. Now he was making catastrophic pancakes for his daughters while their mother arrived with backup cupcakes. "We have news," Emma announced importantly, looking at Olivia for confirmation. Her twin nodded encouragement. "We decided we want to do the father-daughter dance at school next month. Both of us. With you." Nathan felt his throat tighten with emotion. The school event had been mentioned in passing weeks ago, but the girls hadn't indicated whether they wanted to participate. That they had discussed it between themselves and made this decision meant everything. "I would be honored," he managed to say. "You'll need to practice," Sophia teased gently. "I remember your dancing skills from our wedding." "That bad?" Olivia asked, eyes wide. "Let's just say your father's talents lie elsewhere," Sophia laughed. "I've improved." Nathan protested with mock indignation. "I've been taking secret lessons." This was true. He'd been working with a dance instructor, anticipating this very invitation, determined not to embarrass his daughters at their first father-daughter event. After brunch, while the girls played in the garden, Sophia helped Nathan clean up. Their movements around the kitchen had developed an easy synchronicity, passing dishes and wiping counters in comfortable silence. "They seem happy," Sophia observed, watching the twins through the window. "More settled than I've ever seen them." "Are you?" Nathan asked quietly. "Happy with how things have worked out?" Sophia considered the question seriously, as she did everything. "I think I am," she said finally. "Not exactly how I imagined our lives unfolding, but..." She met his eyes. "Yes, I'm happy." Something unspoken passed between them, acknowledgement of their shared past, appreciation of their present, and perhaps, just perhaps, possibility for their future. The moment was interrupted by the twins, bursting back into the kitchen, debating whether the tree in the garden would support a treehouse. "Dad said we could have one for our birthday," Emma insisted. "I said we could consider it," Nathan corrected gently. "Please," Olivia added, her once rare smile now a frequent sight. "You could help build it, and Mom could paint it." Nathan glanced at Sophia, finding her already looking at him. "What do you think?" he asked. "A family project?" The word family hung between them, weighted with meaning. "I think," Sophia said slowly, her eyes never leaving his. "That sounds perfect." Later that evening, after Sophia had taken the girls home for their scheduled night with her, Nathan sat on his patio with a glass of wine. His phone buzzed with a text message from Sophia. "The girls are asking if you'd like to come over for movie night. Olivia insists we can't properly appreciate Finding Nemo without your funny fish voices." Nathan smiled, already reaching for his keys. As he drove the short distance to their house, the house that increasingly felt like an extension of home, he reflected on the journey that had brought him here. 6 months ago, spotting Sophia and the twins on that cruise ship had seemed like the worst kind of cosmic joke. Now he understood it had been a moment of grace, a second chance he hadn't known to ask for but desperately needed. His daughters had taught him what his business empire never could, that true wealth wasn't measured in acquisitions or stock prices, but in moments of connection, in pancake disasters and promised tree houses, in trust rebuilt and love rediscovered. As he parked outside Sophia's house and saw 3 faces already, watching for him through the window, Emma bouncing with excitement, Olivia waving shyly, Sophia smiling with warmth that reached her eyes, Nathan Reynolds knew with absolute certainty that he was, at long last, the richest man in the world.